Hello everyone, welcome back to some more of The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, a few things happened again. Let's see. We searched up the experimentation stage, and we didn't find much. We found... let's see. We were able to examine the wooden birdcage to find that it's cracked at the base of it. And we also talked to Van Zeeks, who was there. Met up with his assistant, and he also gave us a photo of Drebber himself, which came very useful for now the special exhibit, where we went back to Madame Tuspel's. Sholmes told us to investigate the special exhibit, so that's what we did, and here we are. We investigated the special exhibit only to find that this man here is Enoch Drebber. We also found a few things: a camera with red stains on it, and a piece of glass, like from a piece of glass that would appear to be from the crystal tower. So, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna ask Sholmes what all this means now, and yeah. This video might not be too long, maybe around 40 or so minutes, just because that's the amount of time I'm willing to spend at this moment. So, anyways. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, every one being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from the bodies. Yeah? The murder weapon's a dog? Why would you use a huge dog to just rip them to shreds like that? A knife wasn't good enough? After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. Why am I messing up now? Seriously. A closed court? So you mean that the professor's identity... As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty, and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was burned in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which joins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair. Oh. The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life. Came back to life? He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. There was a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen? Yeah? So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber? 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been beheaded and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. It's so horrifying. Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran away to a nearby police station to report the incident. The sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tuspel's. I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night. Yes, what's he up to? The professor acts of terror. Oh, the professor. Sorry, I closed my eyes for a moment, and then the rest of the dialogue came up. The professor's acts of terror threw London and London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumours abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. But in time, of course, the rumours abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlour tale. But why did people stop believing it? Because it wasn't popular. Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What? What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution. No. But that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course the convict in murder couldn't really come back to life. That's not possible. Well, I mean, couldn't the police just have killed him and then put him back in the thing to save face? I mean, it was a closed trial. They didn't want his identity to be revealed, so they could have easily either killed him or put him back to save face, or maybe when they investigated, nothing was there, and they just figured they'd cut their losses instead of trying to telling the truth, making everyone lose faith. But Drebber's hair really is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie. Yeah. What the bleeding all, Otto? What have you gone and done? Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris, and she said this is where you'd be. So? Gina, not so loud in the museum. Madame Tuspels will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern. I still have some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so... Alright, Gina, we understand, but please put down the gun. Alright, so what is it? Sorry, I got scared. Yes, well, that does happen in a museum of waxworks. You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina? What brings me here? What'd you think? We found it. We found that dodgy cove's workshop. What? You found Drebber's workshop? Oh, Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and girls are heading over there now on a drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got the boss to write it down. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then, see you there. You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still. What? I know my place. In the exhibit over there. Oh dear. Someone is feeling sorry for himself. Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming. Your words hearten me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner plate would be empty once more. Forget that, I'll pay for everything. Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. Yeah? No offer to share the cost from Mr. Sholmes, then? You were waiting for me to say that? I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. Right, let's go. Huh. This is his workshop? That must be a prototype for the... That looks like... Oh! It's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Indeed it is. Indeed it would appear so. Though only a prototype naturally. Ah, so you got her then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Toby who's the miracle worker. Oh, I thought you lot was shut for long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. It looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer? Sadly not. We didn't find a sound in here. Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Genius tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're helping to snoop around in there, I'll get cracking. Lord Van Zeke and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. Hey you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then, let's see what we can find in here. Let's get the obvious thing out of the way. This arrow. Up. A little bit down. There. This is... It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside. That fits with the crossbow we found. Oh, do you suppose... Crossbow bolts, these. And just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words... Yup, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam. Yeah? There's those gas canisters, let's see the machine, I guess. I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but that machine is covered by the special suspension, the SDSEA. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it. Oh, okay. Yeah, serious repercussions. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow. No loose change up on the floor, nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fella. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they? I think that's just these two, Mr. Sato. I don't think I see much else here. Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's an impressive-looking back massage, that's for sure. That's obviously a trophy. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. More like they'd increase. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Ah. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine. Thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing. And why is it just laying there like that? Why isn't it standing up? I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks. I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruto? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not gonna let that go, is he? It's curious though, isn't it? You'd expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside like I said. Huh. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times. Yeah, now that I think about it. Royal Society Award. No, this is a trophy. What does this say? A little metal plaque. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery. Nah. Alright. I thought it was something special. Like a piece of blood on this trophy or whatever. Why does it look like this? Seriously, if you could easily just take this up and it'd be like a chalice you can drink from. This part. This door doesn't want to open. Yeah, looks like I got a pretty hefty lock on it. It was a special locksmith on his way over here from the yard. So, hands off till he gets here. With permission, Inspector, I could have the lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission. And no one's given it to you. Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that. Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side. No, Drebber must have fled at first sign of danger. Oh. Is something wrong, Mrs. Sato? Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Chino, did you hear it too? Yeah. No. What you reckon, Tovey? Right, mind the grease. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard. Yeah, running away? Oh my, someone is in there. Sounds like... Ugh, this rotten bleeding lock. My dear Gregson, as I only said minutes ago, if it were only countenanced, I could unlock the door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through the blasted door. There, you may enter at will. Quick! You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's a strong possibility that beyond this door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. Alright. What happened? What is that? In the middle? What's happening here? Why is everything upside down? Rats! There ain't no one in there at all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises. Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away? To where? There are no doors. But there's only one door in this room. And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. But what's that up there? Are they footprints on the ceiling? Blow me. What have we here then? Yeah, does no one notice the... Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry.
Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what? To that Professor Airplane's bombing machine, is it? Blimey, if we had these, there'd be no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There is something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruto.
We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive too.
Well, before we deal with the obvious thing to investigate, let's look at this safe. That's a very large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sholmes could open that lock. Although, if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose.
It's bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhand trick, Mr. Naruto.
Yes, the safe is bolted to the floor? How are you supposed to move it around then? Say it's not placed in a good spot for you. Matter of fact, it's right in front of a bookshelf. How exactly are you supposed to get those other books behind it? What is this design? Like, if it were in front of a wall, then that makes sense, but this is in front of a bookshelf. Like, you're gonna have to move the entire bookshelf and hope no books fall out? Whatever. Well then, you could just steal the floor as well, I suppose.
I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside this must be very important.
Let me just fix my microphone for a second. There. Alright. What else is there to look at? There. Not really, nothing. What is in this? That's a really lovely model. It looks exactly like a real flying balloon.
I think it's probably staying aloft on the same principle as a full-size balloon, using gas.
A green flying balloon. Does have the hallmark of that amazing deception at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Like a test flight. Could it be that the whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? Alright. Let us stop beating around the obvious now. Oh, excuse me for a sec. Let me just... And we're back, sorry. Whew. Alright, I just had to do something for a second. Let's get back into this. Mr. Sholmes? Have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruto. Yes, in fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. Okay, it looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped in a large watch to be...
Mrs. Sato, what's the matter? That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it?
No. What? Did you say... time bomb? Sorry, but... What is a time bomb exactly? You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruto. I won't take that as a compliment. Ha! Yeah, I don't know nothing about, do you? Do you, Otto? I thought it said about, that's weird. Am I hallucinating? Whatever. You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruto. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance. Oh?
Oh, well, thank goodness, but then what is it?
I see. So, that's it.
Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter?
There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I am fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Drebber himself.
Oh, but how could you?
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is, without question, completely genuine.
Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything.
It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. Well, Inspector Gregson seems to be delighted with the idea anyway.
Oh, you deflect the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Sato.
Oh, yes. I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, first, flip furniture. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and the chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that...
Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that the technology has last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed and then suddenly restored to normality.
Goodness.
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I too was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to the one featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact.
But then why does it have a clock on it?
A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts here was reversed by Mr. Drebber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads.
Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there was but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is. By inverting the gravity in here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way. Yeah, I thought this was Ace Attorney, not Gravity Rush.
But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently? Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope.
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one into the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun. Thus concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me. I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life. Yeah, the thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean? I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge and at the turn of the 20th century, it is no more possible than instantaneous kinesis. But your whole deduction hinges on it! But, my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth, however improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with that exact phrasing. My original was clumsy. Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mrs. Sato lent me once.
Objection!
Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes.
The spell's broken at last.
The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it?
Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall.
But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall?
Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we faced in this room, now skillfully unraveled.
That argument is as circular as the coils of rope. I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth.
Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly, before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. If you're ready, then, let us resume. Sherlock Sholmes' Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Alright,
You all know the drill. We'll just skip on through it to the parts we need to change, because I don't feel like reading all of it again. Alright, plain to see. Everything's in disarray. Everything's upside down. I don't know, why is everything upside down now that I think about it? I mean, well, let's see. Every item on the ceiling. The key here is gravity. Technology is last. This is actually a really cool scene. You know, funnily enough, this is actually my like favorite. Like it's either tied or like it is my favorite. What's great deduction of this game? There's like maybe 2 more great deductions, but yeah, this is probably my favorite out of the series. Let's see. Here it is. The inverted furniture clears you the truth. To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room. I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation. But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so... Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once. Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Mrs. Sato. When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he? While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices. Yes, I suppose so. Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Okay. What here breaks the laws of Sholmesian's gravity theory? Well... Well, what would? Oh, this. Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers here, that's for sure. Ah, look at that. I know, that slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me. Yeah, the fact that it's upright. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps? No one's trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me. As you rightly say, though, it appears at first glance that all the furniture in this room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike that large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor. And it's the exception that breaks the rule. In short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all. My deepest sympathies for your loss. Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes. But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Sorry, I'm changing my seat posture. Let's hope it makes me less tired. Now that we know the contrivance is in fact not an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility. You don't say. Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here. Which means that it leaves but one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that? Quite, and naturally there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything is here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, doesn't he? I'm afraid that's the lure of an scientific. Good job, me. Yeah, I'm getting tired. An exciting scientific explanation is too strong. Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason. I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though. Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Easy enough to find. It was over here. I saw it a few times. Look, there's something written on the underside of this armchair. Oh, yes. Safe 432582. Safe? As in safe and secure? As in secure lockable box, I think. Admittedly more likely. Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other end of the room, so yes. So you mean this number would let us open it? I wonder why it's written here, though.
Take that!
Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination. Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not? Yes, last year, when I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case. That's it! For people who are forgetful souls at heart and always make a written note of important information. Just keeping the tickets itself safe would be more sensible, I think. And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo? When the day of the draw came round, I had forgotten which book I had written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it. That's it! For people are forgetful as souls at heart, and always forget where they noted things down. Not if you always note things in the same place. I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I slipped the book in particular to, so I had to... Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded here in this room. Finding himself requiring access to that safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one. Leading to the safe in which we now find the room. The state in which... Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here. In a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe. Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes. Oh, I already did this. Okay. With no anti-gravity device, what exactly would this mean? Well, if a change in gravity can't explain it, how do those footprints get there? Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve. I can't think of any other way to explain it all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed. It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place. Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail. Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Alright, okay, what the... Why is there footprints in a shoe up here? It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there. Look! Oh, yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon, too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think? If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anyone be throwing up shoes at the ceiling, though? Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Alright then.
Take that!
Guess he was trying to hit the balloon. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon. But for what purpose? A green balloon? That seems somewhat familiar data. Ah! It was a piece of green balloon's envelope that Mr. Bernardo and Iris found at the scene. And inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception. You mean to say? If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the same one we used on that day, there is a strong possibility something must have been concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon's out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Most probably Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by sailing with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became prisoner of one of those lofty heights. Oh dear, we desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was somewhere we could see inside. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution. Oh, the rope. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope. Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So, we just throw the rope up to the balloon and pull it down to us on the ground? Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And could very well take us a long time to as well. True. Maybe we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? Yep. The crossbow.
Take that!
We could just shoot it down. To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact. And in all likelihood, belongs to Mr. Drebber. If the man had only bottled it away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this. So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Enoch Drebber has hidden inside that balloon? What the? A waxwork? Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock. So we can't see the face inside. That means... Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness. I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Soto. Excellent. Ah, of course. A headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing. Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous professor. Yes. But why is it here? This conclusively confirmed my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Tuspel's
and returning it, sans teat, I guess, was earlier today, was none other than Enoch Drebber. This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the wax abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Yeah? Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure. The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber? As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights, obviously the man must still be here in the room. What? And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction. Enoch Drebber's right here? Somewhere in this room? So, Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors? Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be... It's actually pretty easy to find. It's the only place where he could feasibly hide. Inside the safe.
Take that!
Before we gained access to the back room, we heard noises from in here. Which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time. He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe. And pressed for time, he made no attempt to right the furniture that he overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. Yeah? Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle. Alright, I know we're like 50 minutes in, but I think I will keep going. Just because there's a bit more to do. There's a huge break after this scene, so I may as well just keep going till the end. So sorry if this is too long, but hey. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you? By opening the safe, you mean? What else? Let's see. The combination was 1432582. I knew that. Alright then, here goes. Alright. You found me. Well then, sir, Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume? Correct. You better start talking. You tricked Professor Harebrain with that bogus machine you built. And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Tuspel's as well. Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions, personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first. Deactivate? Your parcel? I refer, of course, to the time bomb. I left it in a most prominent position. Ah! Ha 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 ha. I see. Stunned silence.
You're all gearing up to die with me, then?
Yeah, Sholmes, wasting all of our time?
Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare.
Yeah, you wasted all of our time with a great deduction and correcting it? That was too close for comfort. I got 1 foot in the grave already. Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed?
Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they?
Well, to be completely fair, he wasn't wrong. If that bomb went off, gravity would have been inverted, away from the bomb.
Well then, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say. Anti-gravity devices don't exist.
Whew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, yeah, okay. So there's a few more things to talk about, but the scene's like there's like a few more things to talk about, plus the scene is about to end. Do I want to continue on or not? Let's see. I think I'll stop here, actually. Because the other scene is... well, let me check. Because if it's just these two things to talk about and then... alright, whatever. Let's continue. I said it was going to be over an hour, so meh. What on earth happened in here? You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems. Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over. Don't you worry, Drebber. What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting. That's a prosthetic hand now that I think about it, is it? Or is that his actual hand? When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to bolt. Whistling? Ah, that would have been me. Oh. Yeah, Sholmes giving away our position? For some reason, I woke up in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly, I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We'd also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly the rope was too short. So, then I set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints, don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the raptors. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticking. Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police. And why did you set a bomb in the first place? Got a death wish, have you? Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb? Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe. It's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So, in fact, the safe was the only safe place. Precisely.
But once you'd climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again.
I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle inside, too, to allow the door to be unlocked from within.
Ah, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans.
Do you mean to say you're planning to blow this all up?
No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. Ah, I calculated the time required for a retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson?
Do I have something on my face, besides the usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth?
I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. But what about the two incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor, clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying around as protection after all.
That's enough.
What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're even aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here.
Yes, well...
Dr. Seethe again. So, the forensic investigation team are here. And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once. My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Seethe? Hello, Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Seethe?
If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell you... Get out. But of course, we'll show ourselves at the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? It would appear that our delightfully and entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes... Let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands. I said get out. Now. All of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place, and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb sitting there that this lot disarmed.
Inspector, you would literally have never found this place.
Something giving you a chuckle, has it, Drebber?
Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one.
Eh? What are you... That one? You mean...
No.
Yeah?
Yeah, bro. In the actual experiment? How? When the experiment was going on, wasn't the entire stage like an electricity fest? What? Why didn't it go off then? What?
It was an hour later when we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention and all of its secrets were blown away forever. Well, that puts a spanner into the works now, does it? Anyways, I think I'm just going to save my progress and stop here. Oh boy, that was a long one. Anyways, so, next time we're going to start the trial, and, yeah, hopefully we'll get to cross-examine Drebber's testimony. But, yeah. Anywho, that will be it for now, and, yeah, I will see you all next time.